Hey guys, Jeff at Hubie's Garage, and it's time to go visit an old neglected friend. All right, this one's long overdue for some attention, and we've got a project for it. Let's get to work. Okay, the last time I was over here working on the hardtop, Howie's hardtop, I basically did some weather strip glue for the trunk weather strip, and then we had a problem with the left tail light not working. I had tried a bulb, I tried fuse, I tried all the obvious stuff first, and I think what's going on with it is the taillight housing is not properly grounded because the car is so well painted. So I'm going to run a ground wire off of it and see if that fixes it. Alright, well, I went ahead and loosened up the screws to put a jumper wire on it, and started to put the jumper wire on it, checked the lights, and lo and behold, they now work. So I guess just the contact with the screws in the metal of the body was enough to get a good ground, and we're grounded again. So we have taillights and we have blinkers. So yeah, let's put everything back together and we'll get it fired up. All right, let's see what the car will do as far as a cold start. Been on the charger for a little bit, and let's see. You know what? Let's check the oil. Let's check the fluids. All right, let's give it a try now. Got the brake fluid is completely topped off from the last time, and same thing with the radiator as well as the engine oil on the ZZ4. It's completely up to the top of the full mark. So let's see what it sounds like if you're going to want to crank. Let's see. All right. Usually takes quite a few pumps. That doesn't sound good. Let's check something real quick. Almost sounded like the choke slammed shut. And I smell fuel. Yep, lots of fuel. What's going on here? Lots of fuel. Now I may have to let it sit for a bit. It looks like the squirters are dropping fuel down into the motor. Huh, that's not good. All right, well, top of the Edelbrock carb was a little bit wet, kind of wet, so I gave it a chance to kind of, it was a little bit flooded, so I just gave it a little bit of chance for the gas to dry up, and took the Torx, the T25, the Torx 25 out and tightened the top plate just to make sure everything was snug, because that was the last time I drove it. I actually put a new throttle pump in it. So let's give it a try now, see what's going on. All right, got it running, obviously. Let me just set the idle up a little bit, but I think the floats might have been stuck initially, and either that or it no longer needs to be pumped so much because the accelerator pump works well. So but anyway, I need to set the idle up a little bit. had been running for a little bit. I actually did this off camera. I was concerned that it was just flooded too much because it wasn't cranking over. I thought I filled up the 3.5, 4.6. That's like a straight shot right out of the intake manifold, right out of the carb into the intake manifold and down into those cylinders. But we just gave it some time to dry up a little bit, and yeah, it's doing well. I mean, 50 pounds of oil pressure, got 13 volts. So let's pull this thing out and give it a good wash. It sure is nice not having the belt squeaking anymore. Just more proof as to why you need to get out and drive these things. When they sit for a while, they're real finicky. So get out and drive your Tri-5, myself included. Funny how a Lopi cam will even rattle the windows. Huntington Truck 45 here for my dad's celebration of life, along with his 55 and his old rescue truck. He's worked on a 57 GMC like that back in the day as a volunteer, and this was his truck company back in the day. Hey guys, yeah, unfortunately you guys heard that right. We had the 55 hardtop, Howie's hardtop, put back together, washed, and readied to take to his celebration of life. The family member that I had spoken of my last video, of the family member that was hospitalized, was my dad, Howie. And he rallied for a while, and but unfortunately we lost him this past month. So it's been a busy couple of months, actually. We've had to do a graveside service for him, and then later on, a month later, we did a celebration of life, of which you just saw the gathering. But as you know, Howie's been in this on the channel. He's been in a few of the videos, the trip to Danchuck that we took, as well as lots of rides in Howie's hardtop with him in the car, as well as the Father's Day visit that we did a couple years ago. Was pretty much his last video that we did, and unfortunately we lost him about a week prior to this recent Father's Day. So Father's Day was a tough one this year. But a little bit of background on my dad. You know, I followed in his footsteps in many ways.
Biggest was, just the fact that he was such a young father. Uh, I have very young parents, and got to do a lot of stuff with my parents. We did a lot of activities, a lot of sports, obviously the cars, and we did mini bikes, go-karts, motorcycles, uh, uh, baseball, swimming. Uh, we houseboated every year, uh, and then obviously it led into the cars. This car here, my 55 Bel Air two-door hardtop, was a car that he actually helped me go out and earn money to buy. What happened is he wanted to give me his hardtop, and he had gotten his hardtop when he was 17 years old. Been in the family since 1963, and when it came time for me to get my driver's license, Howie wanted to give me his hardtop. And I said, my immediate response was, no way, that's your car. You've had it since you were 17. Why would I want to take your car? I'll go out and buy my own. And without skipping a beat, he immediately said, I'll help you get one. So he put an ad in the paper and got about 10 accounts, got a lawn route. And that summer, on his days off from the fire station, he would come home and we would load up his brand new Chevy truck, the Chevy crew cab that I had, later inherited from him, or he had given it to me, and we went out and mowed lawns for that whole summer. I made $1,300 that summer, and at the end of the summer we found this car advertised in the recycler for $1,800. So my dad liked the car, and it was a Bel Air two-door sedan. It wasn't a hardtop, and I did like the sedans. So with his help, he loaned me the extra $500, and we bought the car for $1,800. And I kept my lawn route, the ones locally around my home that I could continue to mow the lawns after school. And before the next summer, I had him paid back the $500 he had loaned me to buy the car. So just a little bit of the selflessness that I got to grow up with in my dad. My dad was just absolutely all about family, and making sure that we had everything that we needed. He spent a lot of time with us, and this car specifically ended up being a launching block for me really getting into the Tri-5s as well as his hardtop. But this car here took it to the next level, because I had a lot of things that happened with this car. I mean, I basically, at a young age, I tore it down to the frame rails and got pretty overwhelmed, and my dad was the one that went out and started working on it. And obviously I came out with him and said, what are you doing? And he says, well, we got to put your car back together. So we did. And literally the Friday night before my first drag race, we had the car on the trailer, and we were putting the last piece of trim back on the car after finishing the car, and we went drag racing that weekend. And that's what kicked off several years of drag racing with my dad, Howie, and this car. So later on, when he retired from the fire service, he did the frame off restoration on his hardtop, and it was a great a time for us, because this was my first car, and I still have it today, and his hardtop was his first car, and we still have it in the family today. The car is a family heirloom. It's not going anywhere. It's going to be more under my care, obviously, now, and it's got some things that need to be done to it. Driving it to the Celebration of Life, we noticed some small pinhole leaks in the radiator, so I'm going to be putting a radiator in it here, or repairing this one next. But yeah, as far as my life, it modeled my dad's. From the 55 Chevys that he started out with at a young age. I followed in his footsteps with the 55s, and then I obviously followed his career path into the fire service, and got to do quite a bit of things in the fire service like my dad did. My dad was one of the first paramedics for his department, and it was back in the Johnny and Roy days of emergency, where everything was so new and fresh with the paramedic program. My dad got to do that, and basically what led him out of the fire service was a very, very early diagnosis with Parkinson's disease. And that's what you see in a lot of the videos that I've had with Howie in the video is the effects of years of Parkinson's wearing on him. And that's what we had to deal with and what my dad had to deal with. But the thing that was great about my dad is he never let Parkinson's define him or slow him down. He basically just did everything he could to live his life without Parkinson's dragging him down. And we've got a lot of activities and things that we got to do with him, you know, as well as my son, you know, getting to work on his car, and my dad helping him with his Nova. So, you know, and there were just so many other things that my dad and I were alike and that I followed him in. You know, our tastes in music, you know, we loved the early 70s classic rock and the hard rock, and a lot of the you know, rock bands from that era of the 70s. We listened to a lot of the same radio stations. And then later on, you know, my dad made a decision to accept Christ into his life, and I did that same myself by asking Christ to come into my life too. And you know, that, as well as you know, growing up with my dad was just, it was just the greatest, you know, to have all these wonderful hobbies and to know that we had hope and faith in a Savior who promises eternal life. And that's what I'm happy most about with my dad, is the fact that, you know, his limitations with his earthly body, those limitations have been removed because he's in heaven now. And everybody in my family, we're thrilled for him, you know, that he's going to get to run again, because he ran marathons, and you know, he won gold medals in the Fireman's Olympics and whatnot, and he'll be able to do those things in heaven. And that's where he's at today. So we're thrilled for that. That's we, you know, our hope and faith is in that, and the fact that we know that he's there now. And you know, we're just thankful that he's not in pain and not suffering anymore. So I just thank everybody for their outpouring of thoughts and prayers, and you know, for following along. And I think the best way to end this video is just to do a slide tribute of my dad. Thanks, guys.
Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. Make him the cutest that I've ever seen. Give him two lips like roses and clover. Then tell him
getting near dawn, when lights close the tired eyes. I'll soon be with you, my love.